Episode 257 of the TV Dudes, recorded October 16th, 2019. Deathdrop. I was supposed to say it like that, like the 90s action movie, right?
Deathdrop.
Deathdrop. What's death is not your own. So we're talking about a mixed bag of shows here. It is quite the variety. This is one of the things you get when you bring in new guest hosts. Fresh blood, new shows. It's very exciting. So we're going to talk about Batwoman, which just started over on CW. And then we each thought we'd throw some shows into the mix that we've been just kind of catching up on. My show was The Detour. And I think for this episode, we should each introduce ourselves by name and then say what show we threw into the mix.
All right.
Les.
I'm Les, and my show is Elementary.
I'm Lisa, and my show is Survivor.
And I'm Myrriah, and my show is Drag Race UK Edition.
And we're the TV Dudes. And let's start with Batwoman, because that was the show that was on the docket originally, and I think we've all seen an episode at least.
Lisa's not.
Lisa's not seen an episode.
That's
Lisa,
all right.
Why don't we start with you? Tell us what Batwoman's about.
It's about Rose McGowan's partner who is playing a Batwoman. I don't know if they're still dating. I don't know. That's all I know.
That's exactly what I was hoping for. So Batwoman
I know the Hollywood gossip.
Batwoman is another CW show. It is another DC superhero. The interesting twist is that this is the first lesbian superhero they've done. I mean, not in the CW universe, because White Canary is
What about
bi.
Supergirl?
No, but she's leading the show, and they're also not pussyfooting around about it at all.
Right, because Alex and Supergirl, is also gay.
But this is a lead, and like Myrriah, you and I were talking about this the other day, that they don't.
They didn't there's and we can get into it if we want to get into it. There are things about it I don't love. So she is definitely, a part of the LGBTQ family. They have not specifically identified. She just identifies with homosexual acts if she gets in trouble for.
Yeah, she gets kicked out of school for a military school for a thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
she in the comics is canonically a lesbian.
Yes.
Perfect. Great.
So.
I love it. Give it to me all the time. All of the gay content.
And she was created by Greg Rucka, who is known for. We were talking about this. Greg Rucka is a writer who, if you were to do a Venn diagram of his shows, you do smoking, lesbians, alcoholism, and like ex-military, and that is a Rucka character. And other than smoking, Batwoman hits all those quadrants.
And I'm sure we'll get there eventually.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, if they could. I mean, they could barely let Constantine light a cigarette. I'm sure it's the only reason she doesn't.
It's the only reason she doesn't smoke.
Yeah.
But so this is, and the character is she's a cousin of Bruce Wayne. She's a reinvented version of a character that was around in the 70s called Kathy Kane. So this is like a new and updated version of her. The original story had art by J.H. Williams and had this sort of weird watercolory, sort of psychedelic look to it. And they have the whole thing where her sister is the bad guy and she's sort of the Joker of the whole thing. And she has this Alice in Wonderland themed gang. And they did a pretty good job translating it all. But I kind of felt like this was just another Formula CW show.
It's so CW.
It's very, I mean, I was just like, oh, this is like when I was in college and I used to watch whatever was on the CW at that time. Gossip Girl. I don't remember. The OC was the OC CW? It felt like CW. You know what I mean?
Pre-CW,
it was
CW,
Fox, but yeah.
Right. It's like the old, it used to be the WB
Yes.
for all you folks out there. But
I remember that, the frog.
With the frog,
yeah. So lots of that stuff that is like on that channel now, like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I think was the thing that sort of broke that mold for them for a while. But I mean, I am not going to complain about watching Ruby Rose in a tight leather outfit riding around on a motorcycle.
Fair.
And she does a much better job than I thought. I like Ruby Rose's look. She's super cool, but I'd only seen her in a couple of movies where she was an additional...
You mean you didn't love her in The Meg?
I actually didn't make it all the way through The Meg. I found out from The Meg that giant sharks, apparently, I don't give a fuck. Like, there was the huge moment of it outside the window, and my dad was like, "You're going to love this scene, man." And I'm like, that's underwhelming. Apparently, Jaws is it for me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
But I'd seen her in,
No
John
Deep Blue
Wick
Sea.
2?
I love really bad horror movies, so we can just keep going down the
There was
tangent.
just something about sharks that I was like, I don't give a shit about sharks.
How do you feel about West Side Story?
Right? And now I'm more of a
When you
Jets
ever
man
jet-
myself.
Oh, fair enough.
But seen her in John Wick 2. She was good.
Yeah.
This, though, I was really surprised that she carries the show very well.
She does.
I thought she did really well with the character. I like the action. I know they're going to change the suit from what I've seen so far.
I don't want the red hair. I don't want it.
No?
Don't give it to me.
It's interesting because I don't love the Batwoman suit they've done right now. I feel like it feels like a knockoff of Batman. I like that Batwoman has accents. It feels like a different character.
I feel like they're doing a pretty good job of setting up why she'll need to change it, that it's messing with the city's morale to think
Because
he's
they
back.
also think of gender as being a thing. Don't they understand gender as a construct? And we don't need to know if it's a Batman or a Batwoman. It's a bat person.
Yeah.
The bat.
That's why I think it's so great that they cast Ruby Rose in it.
I know, because she describes herself as being more gender fluid and gender queer. And I know those are two different things, and people will get on me on the internet, but I cannot confirm which one it is off the top of my head.
Yeah. I thought gender fluid was what she'd said, but she is a she. She uses feminine pronoun. She doesn't use they them.
Correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, my biggest thing with the whole queer storyline is actually my deal with Sophie, so her ex from the military academy. The fact that she's like, I feel like they're setting her up to be like possibly, in the BiPan plus category, but she's like unhappily married to a man. And I feel like that trope has been played out so much, where it's like the queer woman who it's just like continual bi erasure of like, you can't be happy with a man. You're supposed to be with a woman. And like, that's not true. You can be that spectrum of sexuality, being completely happy with a different gendered spouse.
It seems like they were leading down a path with that character of the bullshit trope of like, well, bi people are just going to be miserable and cheat on you eventually, or they can't ever be happy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, you can never be happy.
That bi's not, it's bi erasure. That bi's not a thing. She's actually queer and she's actually gay and in a
I wish you guys were wrong, but you're so not. Because that is what's going to happen. Because, I mean, I
really don't see the writing on this show getting this complicated.
There's a way to do that. The trope. There's a way to do the trope that they want to do of the pining for your lost love and what could have been and that kind of thing, where the two of them do have an affair or whatever, or they have this longing between the two of them, and yet she still is happily married to her husband. Like, you can do both, but I don't think that's what they're going to do.
I don't think it's what they're going to do. I would love if they would surprise me and Ruby Rose ends up with like a really banging girlfriend at some point, and they're both just like, oh, we're happy and we're friends.
So hear me out. Yeah. Season 2, Alice has dirt. Not that Kane is Batwoman, but that Batwoman's in a throuple. It's going to take down the whole thing.
Going to take down all the crows.
So I would love to see. I guess Alex is on another Earth, isn't she? She's on Earth 3 or whatever with Supergirl, so they can't.
I don't
bring
know
her
how
in.
they've established which Earth is Batwoman on.
She is on the main.
Gotham.
She's on the main Earth because she's on the same Earth that Flash and Green Arrow are on.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah,
they go to that city.
That.
And this is where my superhero knowledge just drops off.
Like, how many Earths? I'm behind. I'm way behind.
There's an infinite number of Earths, actually.
Right.
Because time, like gender, is a construct.
And so in the comics, she has a relationship with Montoya, who they introduced in Supergirl.
That's right.
And so they could introduce Montoya here. I don't know if they're going to. But she had a happy relationship, although Montoya then went off to become the Question. And I'm sorry, guys, it's going to get deep nerd when we're talking about superhero stuff. It's just going to happen.
Dude, to completely nerd out, if they bring in the Question on this, that would be fucking awesome.
I could see it.
I would nerd out.
It would certainly make sense.
The who?
It's a weird DC comic character.
He has no face.
Yeah, it's a really weird private investigator-ish kind of DC comic character.
But I thought this was I like Luke Fox as her sidekick. It's very CW formula. It's somehow there's always a white hero and a black sidekick, except for in Black Lightning, where there's a black hero and a white sidekick. So it's a thing they're doing. And it's unfortunate, but I do really like the character. I like Luke Fox. I like the actor they got for it. I like her dad. Like Doug Ray Scott. This is maybe the best thing he's ever done.
We just saw him in Sea Fever. So the guy playing her dad in this, the movie, Lisa and I just watched a Irish horror movie where Doug Ray Scott is the boat captain, and he's great.
Oh, is he? Okay. All I know of Doug Ray Scott is that he was almost Wolverine. I would have been very sad.
That'd have been a bad choice.
Yeah, because it was only because of Mission Impossible 2 that he was not Wolverine. And
that's the greatest thing anyone's ever told me about Mission Impossible 2.
It's the reason for Mission Impossible 2 to exist.
I now am much happier about that movie.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about the comic that I kind of miss is that CW has all these sort of they have all these formula shows, and I like them. I enjoy all the formula shows.
Vigilanteverse.
They are always cast with very pretty people.
Yeah.
Yes.
They do what they do very well, and it's fine. But Batwoman has the comic has this sort of different look, and I really would have loved just the same script with a different director where they have a little more visual flair. They could have really done something different here.
I'm interested to see if the visual look comes together a little better as the show goes on. The pilot episode felt very pilot-y to me.
Yeah. Pilots are hard.
Their pilots are hard. There were several, and I think part of it is that maybe they were a little nervous in the marketing early on or something, but some of the first look stuff, when I recognized those bits sewn into the pilot, there were a couple of times of like, this is jarringly... Did you cut this together from 3 previews and then you filmed some other stuff and now you have a pilot?
Right. There's a lot of story stuffed into that pilot.
Pilots are pilots.
Yeah.
They can be weird.
I watched episode 2. Did you watch episode 2?
Yes.
And did you see episode 2?
I have watched episode 2.
So what do you think?
I mean, I'm going to keep going, at least for a little bit, just to see what happens with it. But I did like... I mean, I like that it gave us more of her backstory and like this complications with her family. And I think they're really setting up to have this like villainous father character, which I'm kind of into because normally in a lot of superhero movies, there aren't parents. They all die for some reason. Yeah. So I think
all of Letterkenny.
They're all dead. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they're kind of building these like foiled characters together and like whether or not, hashtag spoiler alert, but like if Alice is her sister and like what that actually looks like. And I am liking the dynamic between her and her Alfred character, but I hope they develop him into a much fuller, deeper character than just the like, I'm the security guy, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah.
That's one thing I'll say for the CW shows in general. Everything they've done with, say, Diggle over on Green Arrow and what they've done with Mr. Terrific on also on Arrow and Who's Flash's
Cisco?
Cisco. I mean, all this. They always deepen the supporting cast, and I think I would expect the same thing here.
Yeah, I do notice. So, like, I feel like a deep CW trope is the main character narration. Because I know we're not going to talk about it tonight, but I watched this back to back with Nancy Drew, and I was like, "Woof! All right, we're in it. We are in Girl Diary land."
Yes. There's a whole trope that we make fun of in my comic shop about this that. There's like Flash is particularly egregious about this, but they open with the character saying a thing, and it's always like, "My mom used to tell me," and then they say something that no mother would ever say to their child, and it's like, "Your mom just said weird shit to you all the time, didn't she?" I guess dramatically that's useful, but and it's just like it's such a construct, and it's so obvious that it always pulls me out of the show in a way that makes me laugh. But I don't know. Are you going to give another?
Yeah, I'm going to keep watching. In episode 2, as they're starting to, I was surprised that they're already getting into whether or not Alice is Beth.
Yeah.
But there's a moment at the dinner table where her whole family basically does a like, oh, there's no way that Alice that we're hunting is your dead sister. That's crazy. Like, and then instead of hemming and hawing around it for another 2 episodes, she just stops and like, no. The fact that you guys are being this weird about this, I'm dead on right. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe this show will actually zig a couple times I expected to zag.
Yeah. I mean, we are going to get, obviously, towards the end, we're getting the evil stepmother.
Yeah. Actually evil, She's running things for some reason I don't understand, but I'm sure that'll pay off. Lisa, would you like to talk about Survivor?
I mean,
it's on season 712.
I was saying, like, what season are we on now?
So it's on season 39.
It's like when you
my God!
It's like when you get all the lives on Mario.
Hold on, everybody.
Season
it's not
3
that
mushroom.
there have been 39 years of it.
It's that there's been different survivors.
But there have been like 20.
Oh my God!
Like, I mean, I don't know when exactly.
I feel like
started,
that pans out.
Season 3 mushroom.
I am like 100% sure my dad auditioned for season 2 of Survivor because I remember
100% sure.
It's either season 2 or 3, but my dad tried real hard to get on Survivor.
Man, season 2, your dad would not want to be with those people. There were some psychos in season 2.
I mean, I don't remember.
How do you know this?
That's the only one I've seen. Season 2 is the only one I've seen.
Oh my God.
Well, I think there are psychos in all of them.
That's probably
what
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm mixing up real world characters. Was Puck on Survivor?
God, that would be great,
was the
though.
PA.
Man, why don't they just go get real world cast?
Okay, but MTV has their own weird show
It's the
called The
challenge.
Challenge. Yes.
Oh my god.
James is also into the challenge.
So can
Any
we,
of
before
them.
we talk about the current season, can we jump back to Survivor when it first
I don't
started?
know. This is my
I mean,
second season.
It has to be
watching.
one of the original, like, must-watch TV nights.
Yes,
It was,
went
but
nuts. My
I
dad watched
stopped watching it to come record this.
when they
You guys.
watched when they started Survivor. I remember hearing about it, and I was thinking it was like sounded like Running Man craziness. I'm like, someone's
Yeah.
gonna die, and this is never gonna go. And I thought, first of all, nobody's gonna watch this. This sounds crazy.
And that dude hung out naked all the time.
And then it became this phenomenon.
Yes. And
Yeah.
and so like I've heard, so I once, if folks don't know, I'm a podcast producer, and so I was once engineering a session, and the guest on this particular podcast has been a previous contestant on Survivor, and now she does a lot of really awesome things. But anyway, she was talking about like how much they don't put in. Of like total suffering. She's like, I was so sick.
Yeah.
She's like, I got bitten by so many weird things. And she's like, and they don't show, she's like, they don't show you like even a fraction of all of the terrible things that happened to them.
Has-
Oh, wow.
How has
I
no
would
one ever
never-
died on the show? I mean, I understand there's
I think
cast
some
and crew,
people
but-
have gotten like pretty close to it.
I mean,
like,
one dude fell in the fire in the season I watched.
Well, and wasn't there, like in the UK version or one of the... I remember reading about a season one time of like, and you think the US one's terrible, they're being in the jungle. The one in the UK is off the coast of Scotland. It's just a rock that gets blasted by water once a day.
Guarantee
Or
that
something
was England.
fucked up. Like,
England
where-
likes to take it up a notch.
Yeah, where like the photo of it was like
TV.
you couldn't hammer a spike to pin a tent down to that shit.
There are
like,
no trees to build a shelter with. When
so,
you
yeah,
get to
I'm-
a certain point in Scotland.
So
It's like watching a NASCAR. I mean, it's like watching a NASCAR race. Like I'll admit it, I'm here for the wreck.
it's compelling to watch. I was completely addicted
I
to
was
it.
completely anti-reality TV, and
Yep.
then James was like, "You should watch it. You're an anthropologist. This, it's like watching."
Well, you and I watched Kid Nation.
Oh my God, Kid Nation!
I can't believe Kid
Do you
Nation
guys
was a thing.
know about Kid Nation?
Oh, yeah.
One season, and they could never make another one because they changed the labor law.
Yeah.
Basically, they
I feel like we could go to Asia and make one.
Yeah. So
And we
Kid Nation was a reality
Oh my
competition
God.
show with a bunch of little kids who were going to get to run their own town.
Yeah.
And the filming realities, there's a reason there's always twins or triplets
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah.
on shows.
Yeah.
Like you're not supposed to put kids on camera that long. There's laws. They found like a county in New Mexico or Arizona or somewhere that had some fucked up exemption that allowed them to skirt some shit and film this show.
8 to 15 years.
These are little kids.
Here's what I don't know.
That's crazy.
Did the producers of those show had they never had nobody on that show had kids? Well, you don't want to do that.
It's a
or
stunning show.
Did they all think, we lose a few kids? What's the worst that can
I
happen?
think that.
So
I think,
my
I think the
favorite-
B. I think a little from column A, a little from column
My
B.
favorite line from that entire show is this like 8 or 9-year-old boy who's like crying on camera, for his confessional or whatever. He's like, I just really thought there'd be like adults here or something.
And like one little kid looks up at one point and like, I think we're too young to be doing this. And like to be running, we can't be in charge of this.
We don't have kids.
No,
so,
but so we watched
it's
this whole
fine.
thing like jaw open, like how the fuck?
How did this happen?
And
Yeah.
apparently they
Yeah.
knew in season 1 that the law had already been like
Yeah.
they started making it and a city council went to work immediately of like, oh shit.
Oh, I didn't- that's
So
a
this
loop.
reminds me of a show that I think it's called like the Tribe. Anyway, it's a weird New Zealand show. It's like the CW it's a CW New Zealand show essentially.
The Tribe.
I think it's called The Tribe. There's a gazillion episodes. Like literally there's something like 500 and something episodes of this television
So
show.
almost as many as there are episodes of Survivor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's about a
Half.
plague that takes over and kills all the adults. And so now it's all children that have to like figure out how to survive. But there's an episode where they have access to a virtual reality headset. And the guest stars are Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement from Flight
That's
of the Conchords.
amazing.
And they play cowboys. And it is definitely worth a Google.
I will watch that episode alone if nothing else.
Oh, you can find the clip on YouTube, and it is definitely worth a dive. It is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
That's hilarious.
So this season on Survivor,
So like every season,
What's going on with
from
that?
what I gather from my Survivor expert, every season they have like a different cool rule, or they try to, it's 39 seasons, right? So you can't just do the same freaking rules.
They've done like men versus women. They've done like rednecks versus city people. I'm sure.
Like,
it's all crab walking all the time.
It's called Island of the Idols, and so there's this island that people get sent to, and Boston Rob, who apparently is like,
holy shit, Boston Rob's still around?
What the fuck is Boston Rob?
It's a lovely dessert. It's brown. It's filled with cream.
Seriously, this sounds like what Saul had to leave Chicago for.
I've seen
did a Boston Rob. It's not. I didn't invent it. It already had a name.
To be clear, I've seen one season of Survivor, and so far I've caught like 4 references tonight, and I'm as shocked as the rest.
Because everything is always a remake.
Oh my god!
So they have like this island where these 2 Survivor like gods that have come back for.
Boston Rob has become a god. I had no idea that Survivor was leading up to some kind of theology, and that being on it for 39 years, there's a spell at work here.
Yeah. 39 seasons.
Yes.
So anyway,
time is weird on the island.
The people go there and they get like coached from these people that have been on the episode, been on many seasons over time. Come back for when you. What's it
All-Stars.
All-Stars,
Yep.
Thank you. All-Stars that have come back and all of that. And like nobody at the other island knows what these people, because they keep lying when they go back.
Oh my
God.
God.
Like, one of these assholes is going to get to the island and be like, well, it wasn't a pile of vases like you said. It's these 2 people, and I got an immunity idol, and it's great. I honestly had no idea that I would like Survivor so much. Like, I was kind of disappointed. Like, well, I only 20 more minutes. I gotta go record the podcast. but and like right now, I mean, just like people are dumb. You just stop being a bitch.
Yeah.
This is not the way to win. But apparently there's like all this extra nuance and layers that I would not last.
And strategy and way to
My
play.
biggest thing, and I don't know if they fixed it, but I remember like watching it when I was younger and just being befuddled as to how all of these women. I was like, did they give them razors because none of them ever grow hair?
Ooh, I wouldn't want to shave in those conditions.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like...
I'd be like, you
is
need
there
to
like
airbrush that out on
They
that
got like an
movie.
esthetician on the island just doing bikini waxes
Back in
behind
the
a
back
tree.
hut after you come and to,
How is that not a challenge? Like, I feel like the guys have to go through that too, right?
when they do tribal council, there's a wax hut, a waxing hut. So they do sugaring and like threading up
What
the
is it, like the
eyebrows.
European wax center is just
Yes.
like on set at all times.
Move the camera. The European Wax Center's in the shot.
Oh, that is one thing that's kind of cool about this too, is Boston Rob and Sandra get to sit in a hut like hidden from the people during tribal council. So the nobody knows, not even the people that have been to the island, they don't know. And the commentary from them is hilarious.
So they're watching. So when these people show up and they're not, they know who these people are.
There's like a ridiculousness
Like, are you an
component.
idiot? It's just great to watch them interact with each other about the new idiots.
So Survivor has its own Statler and Waldorf?
Yes. Yes, actually, yes. I think they might be funnier.
Boston Robinson.
I can't believe
That you know the guy. Like, that's insane.
and
It's like, fuck, Boston Rob was at Randy's wedding.
I can't believe this show's still on. I can't believe you kind of make me want to watch it again.
I just
'Cause it's
started
so
and
compelling.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
And apparently, there are seasons that are better than others.
Yeah.
But the one that I saw the first time was like, not the last one, but the one before, and I adored it. You know what I find? I really love the Kentuckians on the show. And I'm from Kentucky, so I'm a little biased, but the Kentuckians are like cutthroat. Like, everyone loves them. Like, they're very personable.
Is it because they don't understand when they're just like the southern sass?
I think people underestimate them because of their accent. They're like,
Yeah, they're
oh,
like,
well, as an idiot.
dumb hillbillies.
Hillbillies can't win, so yeah, I'll let you get to like the
And they're
last.
just like, bless your
oh,
heart.
bless your heart. I'm gonna totally take you to town.
The fact of the matter is, though, if you drop somebody who is used to city life and someone from Kentucky into a survival situation,
I
know.
frog gigging.
yeah, I know who I'm going to bet on.
Who's the person over there noodling?
Right.
Oh my God. So this
All right.
is such a tangent. I'm really sorry. But if you ever watched the series on YouTube, it's like It's Alive with Brad. It's a Bon Appetit series. Anyway, do you know who Matty Matherson is?
No.
He is a very large tattooed chef from Canada who is like the largest personality. Anyway, it's him and this guy, Brad, who's from New Jersey, who's like this very kind of like fancy chef dude on. I mean, he's like kind of New Jersey hillbilly-ish, but not to the same level as Maddie Matherson. Anyway, they go noodling for catfish.
Noodling is fun to watch.
And it's a two-parter, and it's maybe some of the funniest content I have ever seen on the internet because Maddie Matherson is this giant man, and he freaks the fuck out every time a fish touches him.
Well,
and they're
noodling
just
is
like-
going to be
Noodling's gonna-
tough.
They're
Yeah.
sticking his foot in like holes in the side of a creek. They're just like crawling in a creek, and like they're half naked. Anyway,
Oh, okay.
it's
I gotta look that
delightful
up.
content.
So we should keep on the reality train, and Myrriah should talk about Drag Race UK.
Indeed.
The best reality television in the world is drag queens. So
Drama.
So Drag Race, for anyone who has not partaken, I think is the best reality television show ever made. Because you're sticking a group of drag queens in a small contained space and basically making them have to compete in Top Model, Project Runway, acting challenges, comedy challenges. It's like every reality television show smashed into one, but
Is
with
there any-
makeup,
With
high
the
heels,
most
and tucking.
boisterous people. Yeah.
So
But with dicks tucked up with duct tape. So
Right.
it's like it's amazing and insane. So there have been 11 regular seasons in the US plus four or five all-star seasons.
So I went looking for this because you told me we were going to talk about it this week,
Yes.
and I was going to try to do my homework, and I failed doing my homework, and I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But I went on Prime, and I saw Drag Race,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like Drag Race and Drag Race All Stars and Drag Race Unstuck or something.
Untucked.
Untucked.
Oh.
Yes. Okay. There's all kinds of different, and I'm like, I don't know which one of these I'm supposed to watch.
yes. So here is the order you watch things in.
excellent.
So it's Drag Race is like the regular show.
Okay.
All Stars is obviously All Stars. It's people who
I
did
love
not
a
win.
good All Star season.
Who did not win but are amazing and should compete again against each other. And then Untucked is the essentially like the backstage cuts of all the stuff they can't fit into the regular show.
Okay.
And it's evolved over time. So it used to be they'd be in these like so after they do their main stage challenge on the show, they have to go backstage while the judges are deciding who wins. And it's that backstage time is what Untucked usually is. And it's them filming them, and they would have these just like perfectly produced emotional situations where it's like someone's mom is on Skype on a TV that they've just happened to roll into the backstage area, and they haven't talked to their mom in 10 years, and they didn't even know they did drag, and like it's incredible television. It's my favorite thing to talk about. So there's been all of these seasons, and now RuPaul is conquering the world and taking it over to the United Kingdom. So this is the very first season they're doing in the UK. And drag in the UK is slightly different. So if you've ever been to a drag show in the US, it's a lot of like dancing, lip syncing, that kind of thing. Drag in the UK is, from what I have seen personally live and also in the show, so drag queens there sing. It's not as much of a lip sync culture. It's like they actually sing songs.
Okay.
A lot more comedy heavy. It's a little less like primetime drag, like RuPaul's drag. So I will preface this and say that I enjoy all types of drag, all kinds of drag. I do not think RuPaul's Drag Race is the epitome of what is drag culture, but it is something that's giving it a huge mainstream stage, right?
Yeah.
Similar to like there's the Boulet Brothers as well, which is another drag show, which is on Prime and you can watch. And there's a local queen from Austin who's on the latest season. It's really good. And it's more of that kind of like alt gender fucky drag, and it's very horror as well. So they do these crazy horror challenges every time on Boulet Brothers. Anyway, I digress. Drag is complicated. So UK drag is a little less like you have to look like a woman. It's a little less like total gender transformation, and it's more about the performances. And so I think it's been very interesting so far to see how the judging has been going.
So are they judging it in the same category?
I think it's a little bit different because I've seen some looks that I know they would. So reading is like you get critiqued real hard. So they get there's been some looks on the UK show that I think would have gotten read a lot harder if it was the US edition, but because of the performance and like the campiness that they put onto it, I think they're moving through it a little bit differently. The UK season is also the first season of Drag Race to include someone who isn't just gay. So they have a bisexual drag queen on the show.
Well, it took them 11 seasons to get to that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so the queen's name is Scaredy Cat, and Scaredy Cat is their first bi queen, and she is only 19 years old.
Oh, wow.
Little baby queen. Aww. But so cute. And so there's been 2 episodes so far, and the queens that have gone home have been the queens who are a little bit younger, a little less experienced, because we now live in an age of Instagram. So a lot of drag queens actually get really famous through Instagram instead of through performing, which is like kind of the more old school way. And so the 2 queens who went home had never performed before.
Oh, wow.
Which I was just like, well, that's going to happen.
Is Drag Race UK could someone come in on Drag Race UK, or would you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they very much set it up. It's also different. So because it's on the BBC, so Drag Race in the US, you get like a cash prize, you get like a bunch
BBC, they'll give you like a toaster.
Yeah.
There's a teapot for you.
Right, because they can't, because it's a public television station, they cannot give away a cash prize. So the prize is you get to go to Los Angeles and film a WOW TV digital television series.
Oh.
And so it's like really funny because in the intro, you're like, when you've been watching Drag Race for so long, you're like ready for RuPaul to be like, and the winning queen will take home $100,000. And then it doesn't happen.
The winning queen will
And it's like, the winning queen wins an all-expense paid trip to Los Angeles.
The winning queen gets beans on toast.
But they are doing this really cute thing. So it kind of reminds me of the Great British Baking Show. So the winning queen each week gets this little Rupita badge, kind of like how they do Star Baker on the Great British Baking Show. But a Rupita badge is apparently a reference to this old children's show in the UK where they would it was like a children's competition show, and the winner would get a pita badge, and a pita badge meant you got to go. I could be saying this all wrong as well. They say it with an accent, and I don't know exactly how I'm supposed to say
probably
this.
Peter.
I think it's a Peter badge, yeah. A pita badge. It's a pita badge.
I lived in England.
Sorry, would that not
tiny
be
amount of
failing
time.
the Drag Race?
A Peter badge? It would be failing the Drag Race, yes.
So
Maybe it's a PETA badge and they're all big Hunger Games fans.
So the Rupita badge, but the old school one, apparently the kids would get into like museums for free and this kind of stuff. So now I'm like just imagining these drag queens going to like the British Museum being like, I have a Rupita badge.
The Blue Peter badge.
Oh, wow.
The Blue Peter badge. Oh, Blue
man.
Peter. That's a show.
Yes.
Blue Peter.
So this is the Rupita badge.
Gotcha.
Because RuPaul has to name everything.
Apparently, there was a
herself.
BBC children's show called Blue Peter.
There we go.
Yeah, they gave out 22,000 of them. They have a little blue ship on them.
Okay.
But anyway, they do crazy things, crazy competitions. So if you like if you like Top Model, if you like Project Runway, if you like any dancing, singing, comedy challenge, it's all on one show.
So my sophomore year of college, I lived with a couple of drag queens.
I used to have a drag queen neighbor. She was my fave.
And I feel like I've lived it, you know? Like they taught
Sequins
me
everywhere.
God. They were like, girl, you need to put on makeup. And so like I learned how to put on makeup from drag queens.
Got your face beat?
I don't really wear a lot of makeup.
So,
No, but when they do it, it's incredible.
so you mentioned Great British Baking Show, and that brings me to a question. Is this more like the backstabby reality TV of Top Model and Survivor, or is it more like the uplifting of Great British Baking, or is it somewhere in the middle?
It's somewhere in the middle, and I think
The Brits can do backstab. I mean, they do Big Brother and stuff, right?
yeah, in Love Island or whatever that show is.
Oh, Love, we didn't talk about that. Love Island.
But
Ooh.
but yeah, so I think it's holding true to similar things like Drag Race US, which is like they are a bunch of drag queens. Things get a little catty behind scenes. There's some like egos that are competing, but so far it's been pretty like it's so funny because it's the first UK edition. I think they're all feeling a lot of pressure to be like this representation. And I will say that the show did get hardcore critiqued, and I agree with this critique for the diversity on this particular season. There's only there's only 2 queens of color in this season, and it's just like, come on, it's the UK. You can do better than this. So
They can do slightly better than that.
they can definitely do better than that.
There are a lot
though.
of pasty white people in England.
Yeah, but you have London.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
Though.
there's
Is
a
that
lot
just-
of
is that
there's a lot of
home of drag?
everywhere.
Is that
in
still
London.
true with Brexit? They're not walling it off from everything
Oh,
else.
man.
No, they're
Are we getting into Brexit? Let's not.
No,
get
let's
into
not.
Brexit.
Let's not get into
Walls in
Brexit.
England, they're like calf height.
Yeah, you
I
can
mean,
jump
just
a
a
mile.
pail.
Yeah.
It's just a pail.
But yeah, the judges are like the mainstay judges are is RuPaul, obviously Michelle Visage, which is a carryover from the U.S. edition. Michelle is like Ru's right hand lady of all time, and then Alan Carr and Graham Norton are the other 2 sort of more regular judges, and then they bring in a special guest judge. So they've had Andrew Garfield so far, and she was on Game of Thrones.
PETA. Blue PETA. No.
Natalie
No, wait,
Dormer.
no, I went to...
Natalie Dormer.
No, the little one.
Maisie
Stabby.
Williams.
Yeah, Maisie Williams. I was
That
like,
one.
Stabby.
Stabby with needle.
Maisie Williams, yes.
All right, departing the world of reality. Last year we're going to talk about Elementary.
I mean, drag is
that's
also
fair.
not
That's fair.
it's the ultimate
I also have to take a
fantasy.
side note. In looking up what a Blue Peter badge was, they stopped issuing those for several years because they discovered that people were selling them on eBay because they do get you
Into stuff for free.
like a free admission to a museum and stuff, but only for the badge holder. And they stopped issuing them because, quote, it was a knife stab to the national psyche to realize they were being sold commercially. And like they made the Sun newspaper offered a thing for like a year where you could send in the names of people you knew who had illegal Blue Peter badges because these are for kids and you're fucking with the prize. Like you're devaluing a prize a child
wow.
won.
That makes a joke I saw on the show so much funnier because after one of them won their badge, they're like, I'm going to sell it on eBay.
Yeah, no, it's a huge thing, and they stopped for like 7 or 8 years apparently, and then an 11-year-old sent a letter in because they took a solicitation of ideas for how they could restart them. An 11-year-old named Helen, who now has a silver badge, sent in a letter saying, well, there should be photo ID cards that come with the badges then, and she drew a design for the for what the photo ID card should look like, and now that's what they do, and you can go enter your information in and get your official badge.
I want to be a British child.
Right?
Did I say that out loud?
Sounds charming.
I do too.
I can't believe that there was like a national like, no, you sons of bitches. So I watch Elementary.
Yes. How many
with-
seasons is that on?
Oh fuck, man. I don't know.
39.
Is that the one with Lucy Liu?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a sucker for Sherlock Holmes stuff. To me, it works similarly to the way that you can move Shakespeare plays around in time. Like it's just a great archetypical character, and I
Sure.
love watching them reinvent him. He's public domain, so there usually are 4 or 5 Sherlock Holmes things happening at any given point in time.
Yeah. There's one in the other studio right now.
Yes. There's actually no. So, Elementary has been a show that I always liked Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu as a comedy. I thought it was fun that they did a gender swapped Watson. I love that they don't at any point in the show make any kind of romantic
That's good.
stab at
Yeah.
any of that, which is great. I thought it was a nice trust
What do
to
you
build
mean?
with the
Men and
show,
women can't be friends.
right?
Harry met Sally and told us all about it.
Well, and also Sherlock and Watson, I thought had a thing going in general. That's what the Robert Downey Jr. movies
Right?
taught me.
Yes, about he and Jude Law were just such a sexy couple. You couldn't
That's fair.
could not
Do you think
do
they
it.
were,
Fair.
was that before or after the Brokeback? So they were like
Oh, that was
riding the
after. That was
wave
after.
of-
And I can't remember. I'm blanking on the actor's name that was in True Blood. Nelson Ellis,
Just-
Lafayette. Yeah. So for a couple of seasons, Elementary had Lafayette from True Blood, Nelson Ellis, who is an actor I absolutely love. He had some issues with alcoholism that he was public about and trying to get sober. He relapsed, quit drinking cold turkey, trying to get sober, and died.
Oof.
From it. His family spoke about it publicly because you should get help when you want to quit things like that.
Yeah.
And then that, like, he did a right thing or he did a good move for himself in his life that his body couldn't take the detox of, which was I'd never considered. Anyway, so a couple of seasons ago, he very unexpectedly died, and it sucked because, like, he was an actor I loved off True Blood. He was gone for a minute. It looked like he was back and was killing it on Elementary, and then is just gone.
So pitch me this show, because I like Sherlock Holmes, but I don't know if I can handle, like, is it episode of the week?
Oh, it's very procedural.
Okay.
So they have a case of the week, which are, I like cozy mysteries, which is basically what these shows end up being. It's a very Murder, She Wrote-ish kind of thing. And so I enjoyed Elementary having a case of the week. I'm a sucker for how long-running shows can do this, because inevitably you've got to retread some stuff or do a mystery I've seen before. And so I always have fun watching, like, all right, how are you going to twist this a little? I thought their take on Holmes, he's ex-drug addict. He's basically moved to New York because he's burned his bridges in London at the start of the show. And at the start of it, Watson is literally his sober companion. So he drags her into, in the first season or so, he drags her into being his Watson, not because she has any interest particularly in being a detective. She's his sober companion. Like, she's there to make sure he doesn't relapse as part of his condition of working with the cops at all. And then she very much discovers that, like, oh, I enjoy doing this. And so the show has some fun background things of watching Watson go from being an ex-surgeon who had something happen where she doesn't want to be operating anymore, and so she's become a sober companion, and all her friends are already like, you're already slacking, get back in the game. And instead she decides to get in this totally other game with this nut job. And so the show kind of develops as Watson develops as a better investigator. And so you watch her over the first few seasons get trained. It's very much what Nelson Ellis's character was about to be. He was an ex-con who was kind of coming under Holmes' wing. It really looked like they were building him up to be a new sidekick, which really made it all the more tragic when he was just gone. But they are now in their final season. They're actually wrapping the show up.
Okay.
And I always love watching how Holmes adaptations will use the weird stuff,
Reichenbach Falls.
Yeah, where's the Falls going to be? Who's going to be Irene? Like,
have they brought in their Moriarty?
So they have a character named Reichenbach.
Okay.
Who has just revealed in this season that something they were looking into as a murder, this guy large scale orchestrated. And he got a couple of people killed, but it saved a couple hundred people. And he's literally in the episode I just watched, he's just explaining this to Holmes and Watson of like, oh, no, I'm confident you can't do anything about it. It's done, and I don't believe there's any way that you could ever prove it. You're not like he just tells them the plan because he's got them. And Holmes is like, I can't touch him. He can't. This is smart. And you can. I like that he's clearly their Moriarty. He's not really a villain. I mean, he is a villain, but he's coming from a good motive. He's just doing this. If Holmes were utterly a psychopath and was like, I'm just going to save New York by killing 3 people. And this guy's basically using that Holmes level, Moriarty level intelligence to pick out Americans that it would be good to have taken off the board. And it's vicious. But I'm liking now what they're going to do with their. I was a little curious how they were going to. Okay, you're getting a final season. This is your final season. What do you do as a writer's room? Do you just go out like it's a normal season?
Yeah, just one more season of procedurals.
Or do you try to do something special with it? And if it's Holmes, you've got to do Reichenbach Falls.
Okay, all right.
And so I like that it's a character. I like that they're trying to figure out how to get this guy. They did a thing where Holmes was basically being stalked by a serial killer for a little while, who was just impressed by him, and so that was fun. If you like procedural stuff at all, if you've ever had any love for the Holmes character or series, I thought this was a really well done thing. I've been impressed with how it stayed consistent from season to season for me.
All right, so we're going to close on something completely different, which is the
Let's take a detour, Randy.
a half-hour comedy on TBS called The Detour that popped up on Hulu. I think there's probably like four. I think they're on the fourth season of this or something. And I had it a little bit in my head because it's Jason Jones, who I always liked, who's married to Samantha Bee, who I love. And I was like, okay, TBS has been mostly disappointing, but I want to see if this was good. And it's got Natalie Z from Justified. And they basically it seems like it's Vacation the show. Like it's this couple goes on the road with their kids. They're supposed to be flying down to Disney World, and he springs this surprise on them that no, they're actually driving to Florida. And it turns out the reason they're driving is because he has all these illegal drugs from his job that they're not like meth or anything. It's some kind of like important, biomedical thing. But he can't take him on an airplane. But he got fired for standing up to the boss about this thing shouldn't be out in the public. And so he's going to take this down to the big conference in Florida and get his job back and show that he's the moral crusader and get the company CEO will see how wrong this all was and all of this is predicated on he doesn't tell them any of this. So they just think he went nuts and decided he wanted to drive. So he doesn't tell them he's been fired. He doesn't tell them about what's been going on with the company. And then as they go, things get worse and worse, like flat tires. They crash the car. At some point, her sister, his wife's sister, is this crazy, drugged up hippie who is like in their house, is supposed to be watching the pets, kills the pets within a week.
Oh wow!
And they cut to her sometimes when he's calling her for help, and she's got dudes just staying in the apartment, and she's clearly just living this bohemian life in their apartment, wrecking the place. And he's this guy who's like now he works in biomedicine, but as they go back and forth and they see more of his backstory, he's clearly just kind of a dumb dude. He was a goon he was a hockey goon, which is the guy. He's the enforcer. He just goes out to get in fights. Mm-hmm. And he married this girl because she got pregnant and they got married. And now they've been together for years and years. And there's more and more twists. Like they reveal eventually, I don't remember if this is season 1 or season 2, but they reveal that basically he went to the wedding. He met her at another wedding because he was bringing her sister, the mess that he hates. They were on a date and they slept together. And then that's how he met his wife.
God.
And she had this whole other green card marriage with this other dude. So they're not actually married, which comes out about halfway through. The whole thing is framed because he's talking to the FBI about whatever happened. So they get this framing sequence of him talking to the FBI and like, so tell us about this part. Tell us about the theme restaurant with the racist conquistador theme. He's like, oh, okay. And then they flash to that and show that whole story. It's bonkers. It's I found it really funny. I think Jason Jones being who he is and the sort of if you've seen him do his sort of over the top comedy shtick, which he did on Daily Show, he's definitely doing that here. Natalie Zia is a great person to play off of him. The kids are really good, and the situations are really funny. And I really would compare it. It's like National Lampoon's Vacation with this weird drug company runner in the back of it.
Samantha Bee and Jones co-created this.
Yeah.
I watched some of the first season. I think by season 3 they're in Alaska.
Yeah, it
just gets worse and worse and worse for them.
Weren't they going to Florida?
Yeah, they get to Florida. They get to Florida in season 1. Like they wrap season 1.
Oh.
But then there's more. There's like the big reveal about her backstory sort of leads them to a changed identity witness protection thing in New York. And I'm sure there's something like that winds them up in Alaska. They just keep falling into worse and worse things.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we'll include it in the show notes. I spoke with Ashley Gersimovich, who plays the daughter on the show about a year ago. And yeah, I think that's when I watched some of the first season.
And they love to do things where these kids should not be kids. They're teenage kids. And they'll do things like they have to go for help somewhere, and they wind up in this place where the only place they can go for help is a strip club. And so the kids wander into the strip club, and the daughter gets her period and is talked through it by the strippers.
I mean, honestly, that's probably the best person.
Yeah, they're presented as pretty helpful. Yeah,
it's going to be way better than whatever comes out of Jason Jones' mouth.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yes.
But It's really funny. It was one of those things where I'd put it on and I'd watch like 3 or 4 episodes before I was doing other stuff.
Talk about a channel that actually has a pretty good brand that I forget about a lot. I actually like a lot of TBS sitcoms in the last few years.
I want to like them. They have good, like the Wyatt
Wrecked
Snack
was
Show.
fun. I think Wrecked, where they're all shipwrecked on an island.
I didn't see that one.
Like
I saw
Lost
the
as a sitcom.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
I saw the Wyatt Snack Show where it was like was it the
That was
Alien
weird.
Group?
Oh yes,
That was-
the aliens.
that was-
yeah.
Oh, and then they had
Weird.
the one, the cabin thing.
Yeah, which had a great pedigree, but I thought was really boring.
I watched a few. I don't know why. I think my other thing is because there's so many options of things to watch, and I'm sure y'all have talked about this. It's like if it's a thing that I've already put my cable login to, I don't want to deal with commercials.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Oh, I don't watch anything with commercials anymore.
Yeah, that's why I waited till it got to Hulu to watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
that's-
CW, Batwoman and stuff is the only reason that I.
oh my God, so many.
It's the same one 5 or 6
I
times in a row.
Watching the watching Batwoman on CW, they showed me the same commercial 4 times, and I started hating the show they were showing me. And then they showed me the Batwoman commercial twice, and I'm like, I'm watching
watching
this
it.
show.
Yeah.
It's like someone
You
coming.
won!
It's like
want
someone
any more
coming in and
fees you
yelling you
wanted.
to do your homework. You're like, I'm doing my homework. Leave me alone.
Yeah,
But anyway, that was quite the cornucopia of different shows.
it was.
I hope you all enjoyed this episode. You can go and support us over at patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw us $1 an episode. We would appreciate it. And thank you, Lisa and Myrriah, for being here. Thank you, Les. And until next time.
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.